What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal and this is One Book Reviews, and today we're doing another KU reading vlog. It is currently the 17th of January, so I'm starting this one really early, but it's because I was on live reading sprints and Neva from Reading with Neva recommended this one to me, and it's actually going to work really well for February. I am participating in the Battle of the Boy Bands readathon, so I plan to read this for that. So I just want to do this intro so that I am done and I remember to do an intro because I always forget. But I am going to be reading Find Me by Ashley N. Rostek. This apparently is a 4-part series. I plan on just reading the first one for this vlog, but who knows, if I have enough time I might end up reading all 4 because I hear that they end with a huge cliffhanger and I probably am going to want to binge them like I did with the Madison Kate series that I read by Tay James. Now this is a story where it's a reverse harem romance, but our main character is in witness protection. The series is called WITSEC, so interesting. But apparently the main character's entire family was murdered by the guy that's been stalking her, and now she's kind of restarting her life and ends up having 4 very beautiful neighbors, which are going to help her kind of settle her screaming lonely heart. But obviously there's this underlying thrill of like this guy who apparently murdered her entire family is like still out there. So I have a feeling it's going to be quite dark but quite interesting. So I'm going to take you along for the ride. Pretty much whenever I just feel like giving an update as I'm reading along, I'm just gonna like spit thoughts at you. They will probably make 0 sense. This is not going to be a spoiler-free vlog. This will 100% be giving away spoilers. So if you have not read this series, and what I've just told you about it is enough to get you intrigued, go read it, come back and watch this vlog when you actually want to hear my thoughts on it. Otherwise, dive on in and take the spoilers. But yeah, I will probably update you in like 2 weeks time when I actually start it in February, because I will be reading this for that readathon, but I just wanted to do this intro now so I didn't forget. So stay tuned for my thoughts on Find Me by Ashley N. Rostek. So I'm about 14 pages in and one of the brothers has just kind of like introduced himself and his name's Colt. I'm already obsessed. Okay, so I am 27% through. I think it's like 60 something pages into Find Me, which is this one here by Ashley N. Rostek. Rostek, I should say. It's not a Z, it's an S. And I found out today that it is quite a slow burn, and I realized my intro of what this book about is might be a little bit wrong, I think, but hopefully as I read it more I can give you a bit more of an idea of what it's about. But I did want to make a few clarifications. It is definitely a reverse harem. There is definitely 4 brothers that is involved, but there is no incest between the brothers, I've been told, so that's good. But yes, I am enjoying it so far. I've met all 4 brothers. 2 of them have been more predominant than the other 2. And then there's one who's kind of like slowly coming in a bit more. But the one that I'm probably liking the most would be Colt, purely because he's like a cute little puppy dog. Like he's the perfect level of sweetness, but I feel like he's going to be the one that like pulls out some weird stops once the smut starts. But I am really enjoying the story. I have also found out that apparently in the first one there is not a lot of smut, so that is, I guess, good for anyone that doesn't want smut, but apparently it's going to be a very slow burn, so we shall see. But 25% in, loving it, definitely plan on continuing, so here I go. So I have made it to 50% in the Find Me series. I'm sorry I have not given you an update too much, but every single time I'm reading this is in the middle of the night, so I haven't really been able to have the ability to give you an update. I finally have some time now. The baby's asleep in the... Okay, she might be awake now. The baby is asleep in the back, and I am just choosing to give you a bit of an update. So far we have met 4 of the brothers, which if I had to rate my favorites
I would have to say my two favorite brothers would be Knox and Colt. The other two brothers I don't mind. Keelan gives me vibes, but some things he does like kind of annoy me. But Knox, I think, is a surprise to me. I thought that I wasn't going to like him because he's like the older, broody brother, but he's really showing some like some cool personality traits as we get further into this book. Obviously, there has not been many spicy scenes lately. Not been many spicy scenes, as this is a slow burn, but I have very much appreciated the plot that is happening. The flashback situation that we have going on in this book is quite intriguing. I will say that there are some like dark moments and trigger warnings, so definitely look into them if you haven't already read this book. And I'm sorry if you've read it because I'm going to go into spoiler territory. But yeah, I am loving it and I can highly recommend so far. I tried to tell my book club about this book and they were like not interested at all. So I love that I have this community of people that read dark romances with me so that I can talk about them and people can understand what I'm talking about, because my in real life book club was not interested at all. So I'm thankful for you guys. But yeah, that's my update so far. We have just gotten to the point where she has found out that the Mr. X, who is the person who murdered her whole family, has murdered another girl who apparently was like her lookalike. And he feels like he's getting closer. So there's like this intriguing kind of like, will he find her? And then she's slowly starting to like let her true self come out to the brothers. And I'm hoping and praying that none of these brothers like deceive her. Like, I will be absolutely heartbroken if that happens. So that's my hope and pray. But yeah, so far, favorite brother is Knox, followed closely by Colt. Keelan is okay. And the last brother, I cannot remember his name. He's the other twin. He's okay, but not my fave. So that's where we're at.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I planned to take you along for this ride a little more than this vlog has allowed, but I was reading this last night on my Kindle because obviously Anthony was asleep, and I finished the whole thing at 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't put it down. I got up at midnight for the baby and then finished it at 3 a.m. So I'm going to try and remember to go back and tell you my thoughts as I came across them, because I remember like having thoughts and wanting to tell the vlog, but just not being able to because Anthony was asleep and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think I last left you when I was about 50%. So since then, a lot has happened. I'm not going to give you like a play-by-play because if you've read this book, you know, and if you haven't, you really should. But I obviously am going to touch on spoilers because that's just what these vlogs do. So firstly, Mr. X is fucked. We already knew that, but holy cow, some of the things he did was just so messed up. I love Knox. He is my favorite brother officially at the end of book 1, followed by, I think, Colt, then Keelan, then Creed. I think that's my order. They change all the time because they all have their own little quirks that I love about them. But that's my order at the end of book 1. Knox's broodiness is just like so attractive, even though he's a bit of a jerk sometimes. Like, oh, I just can't stay away. So by the end of the book, I was about, I think I want to say like 80% through, and something happened where her tires were slashed and the girls attacked her in the change room. And I personally, there was a little comment that the principal made, this is a prediction that I have, that said, we'll try and track down the security footage to who slashed your tires because there's cameras that point at the kid at the car park. And that never was touched on for the rest of the book. So my prediction is that Mr. X actually slashed her tires, and that's going to come back later. I know that at the end of the book, her tire was flat the next time and it was actually the guy from the gym, but I think it's 2 different situations. So I'm thinking that Mr. X actually slashed her tires and he's found her and he's angry that she's formed this relationship with the other people, and he's doing that weird like love from a distance thing again, and he's going to show up again. That's just my prediction. So I've started book 2 because I can't help myself. I may or may not include it in this vlog depending on how much I get read before I have to put this vlog up. But I love book 2. It's currently got like the multi-POV, which is really fantastic because the first one was purely from her perspective. And I'm so sorry that I didn't get to give you the thoughts as they were going along, because they would have made so much more sense and had so much more honest reactions rather than just this tired face at 7 o'clock in the morning after I stayed up till 3 a.m. But I highly recommend this book. There is only one very small spicy scene in this, and I wouldn't even call it a spicy scene. But from that, I'm very, very intrigued to read further, because I feel like once the author lets go and like full just dives into the spice, it's going to be real good. So yeah, that is my thoughts on Find Me. This is not how I expected this vlog to go. I'm so sorry. I feel like it's going to be quite small and not actually have a lot of thoughts in it. But my thoughts were at 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is all I can give you because I forget what I thought at the time that I thought it, because I've since discovered new things by finishing the book and starting book 2. Hey guys, so I ended up finishing book 2 in this series as well, and all the footage that I had of my reactions unfortunately went bye-bye. I am just gonna say that I stopped at the end of book 2, not because I didn't want to read book 3, but because book 4 isn't out yet, and Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading and Neva from Reading with Neva told me that if I was going to stop anywhere, I should stop at book 2, because if I read book 3, I would be really annoyed about the fact that I couldn't jump into book 4. So considering I had other projects that I needed to work on, I have stopped at the end of book 2. I am still absolutely loving this series. It is phenomenal. The spice in 2 was definitely more than the spice in 1. I think my favorite brothers still probably goes in the same order, so nothing in terms of like my favorite characters have changed too much. There were certain moments in book 2 where I didn't really like our main female character. She just started to piss me off in some of her choices and the way that she was coping with things. But then I kind of had to remember the trauma that she'd been through, and then that kind of made sense, I guess. But yeah, all in all, loved this. Highly recommend this series. I know that the people that are mainly watching to this point will have already read this series and they're just trying to see my thoughts. I didn't go into like too much spoiler territory, I don't think, but enough that it may ruin the vibe for you if you do choose to read this. But yes, highly recommend. And if you have made it this far and you've read this series, let me know in the comments down below what you thought. If you haven't read it and you've watched this video, let me know if I've convinced you to read it. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and feel free to drop some KU recommendations down below that you would like me to review. I'm thinking next time I'm going to be doing a Darcy Coates or some kind of like thriller instead of a KU romance. So drop some suggestions down below of some other genres and KU suggestions you recommend. And have a great day. Bye.